And to kick off our marketing sessions, we have Dennis from our farm, YXE. Dennis had a career in sales for 28 years and then felt it was time to do something really important. And what could be more important than food? They started our farm in 2015, and it is a small market garden just outside of Saskatoon, growing certified organic produce. They market their produce through CSA subscriptions, a neighborhood farmers market, online ordering, restaurants, and resellers. And you'll definitely hear more about that from Dennis today. So with that, I will pass it over to you, Dennis.
Thank you very much. And I might need some help again. I'll try to get this to work. Okay, is that working?
Well, you still have to press share screen on the Zoom side of things.
Okay. Sorry about this. This is not my
no worries. No worries.
Share screen. Okay.
Awesome. And then you just need to put it in presenter mode. Oh, perfect. You're good to go.
Are we there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for that delay. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. My name is Dennis Skoworodko, and I'm the owner of our farm. And we are a market garden located, we're right next to the city limits of Saskatoon in a little hamlet called Firdale. And we farm on 2.4 acres of rented land, and we are certified organic growers. We grow 40 types of veggies and fruit with over 130 different varieties in total. Before I get started, though, I have two disclosures I need to make to be completely fair to all of you. Number one, I have a lot of experience in marketing in past careers, but I want to tell you just what we have tried and done and how it has worked for us. And hopefully our ideas may inspire you to try some things with your business. But please don't interpret what I do and how I do the things as the only way they should be done. There are lots of experts out there on YouTube, for example, and I get a bit frustrated when they portray their way as the only way. Each farm has very different conditions. You've got different locations, different competition, different local likes and dislikes, and market opportunities. So I just hope by showing you what has worked for us, that it may inspire you to morph some of our ideas into ways that will work in your situation. So disclosure number two, and this will be painfully real to anyone who is already farming organically, but to those of you who are thinking of becoming an organic farmer, this is a picture of what your future will look like. So I find that too painfully true. So 2022 will be our 8th season in business. I had a great career in selling real estate, but I felt it was time to do something that was really important. And what could be more important than food? So in 2015, we started our farm. But why, and why organic? After some health issues, we started talking about what we eat, taking about what we eat much more seriously. And it started us on a search for healthy and tastier food. I've always loved good food. And as we transitioned our diet to what we felt was a healthier diet, our more plant-based diet, we realized that taste was lacking in so many of the veggies and fruits we could buy. And we wanted food that did not contribute to health risks. So our farm, it started with wanting tasty food and wanting nutritious food. Food without chemical sprays and chemical fertilizers, food that is non-GMO. Out of this, our farm was born. We looked around us and we were seeing so much ill health. The more we studied, the stronger the link between what we eat and our good or bad health became to us. And the more we looked, we discovered how broken our food system is. It did not seem to be about good taste or good nutrition. It seemed to be about what will survive trucking and storage for longer than food should be stored, or what will keep on the shelf the longest. What is good for the seller, not good for the eater. So we started growing veggies and we developed our overriding principles. We believe that if the soil is healthy, healthy plants will grow, healthy plants make tasty veggies, and if the tasty veggies are the most nutritious. We also believe that our bodies do not deal well with toxic chemicals, so we've been organic from the start. And now that we've grown tasty, healthy produce, how do we sell it? For marketing of our produce, we started with an identity. First, the name. We chose the name Our Farm for a few reasons. Short and easy to remember, also so our CSA members can feel a bit of ownership in their share. It is their farm or they have a share in it, and to help our customers engage in conversations with their friends. Like, where did you get these tasty veggies? From our farm. And they're like, what, you have a farm? Well, no, but yes. Then we set about on marketing plan to put our farm name front and center to our customers and build awareness and trust with us. We always try to make it very obvious and unforgettable. So I suggest a farm name, a farm logo, and then put your name and logo on everything possible. Some of the things we put our logos on is we put it on the side of our delivery truck. We put it on all of our signs at our farmers market. We put it on our packaging bags. We put it on our staff t-shirts for when they're working at the market. We put it on our website. We put it on our Instagram. We put it on our Facebook. So wherever we go, whatever we do, we want our name and logo to be front and center. So once we have our name and identity well thought out, next comes telling our story, which I think is super important. What makes us and our produce different, better, worth the time and effort to buy? So if people are not willing to buy what we are offering, I just feel that I have not told our story well enough. For us, some of the story we tell is how fresh our produce is. Industrialized food from California, Mexico can never compete with us on this. How tasty it is, how ecologically sound we farm. All things consumers seem to be very interested in at this time. So we use our social media, mostly Instagram and by default Facebook, and also email and our website to keep telling our story. All the varied and interesting things that make us special and why a customer would want to part with their hard-earned money on our produce. People want to feel a part of something greater, plus people are basically selfish, so they want to know why it's good for them also. So we try to tell our story in a positive light, not by pointing out all the faults with the industrial system all the time, but by pointing out positive benefits for them. So social media can be a dream way to tell your story. It's super timely, but it has a really short shelf life of just a few hours perhaps, but very effective to get quick exposure. I'm old enough to remember the lovely days before social media, so I remember how expensive print media or radio or TV was to do. Social media can be free, and we have found very effective to help us tell our story. We also garner email addresses at our farmers market and off our website with the sign up for newsletter button, and periodically send out emails. We use MailChimp, which we do at no cost for bulk email campaigns. We want to keep telling the story of our food with farm updates, product spotlights, and what we'll be offering at each week market and so on. We try to do posts very often during our season, and even during our off season, we try to keep followers engaged. We have found stories of what we do and often showing our human side, not just our product side, very effective. So I think people like to see who the people are behind the food. Now that we've told our story, the most important of the part of the business is selling. I could be the best grower ever, but if I don't sell what I grow, it is of no use at all. And I see all the time businesses that do what they do very poorly, yet sell a lot because they market very well, not naming any names, McDonald's. We wanted to diversify our income stream also so we can spread our risks out. I did not want only one source of income in case anything happened to the source we would not be scrambling. So we have 5 income streams. Number 1, we do a CSA or community supported agriculture shares. We sell to restaurants. We sell to resellers. We have online sales, and we also have a neighborhood farmers market. So something I try to keep in mind is the more of my production that I can sell directly to the eater, that is where I can garner the highest price. So from our farmers market, our CSA, and our online sales. The further away I get from the end eater, the lower the price I will get. For example, resellers or restaurants. It's very tempting, I have found, to feel like my farm has arrived when I sell to an upscale restaurant or high profile store. But I always try to remember they are my lowest margins. So our CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture, it's a program where subscribers sign up at once, and all season they get every week a box of fresh produce of what is in ripe and in season that week. We run our subscription from July to early October, and we have 3 different sizes of shares. Now, the subscriber doesn't get a choice of what they get. It's a surprise package every week, kind of like Christmas morning all over the summer and fall. But the pros of a CSA is they're pre-sold, and you can supply whatever is right, my choice, and I'm selling at full price. The cons are it's a tricky process to give a wide variety of produce each week, and varying from week to week. And I find it very labor intensive packing the shares every week. Selling to restaurants, we have a small handful of local run farm to table variable menu type restaurants that have been great partners with us. And the pros of selling to a restaurant is it's fun to sell to chefs. It's good exposure with trusted establishments, but the cons is I find they're very unpredictable in quantities and ordering, and we're discounting prices. So whenever possible with our restaurants, we like to do a cross promotion with them, such as posting when we do a delivery to them, or also sometimes post menus featuring our produce. So do sell to some resellers, and the pros are that sometimes they buy larger packs, simple drop off, but perhaps some exposure, but the discount again is that I'm not getting full price for it. We also have an online store where customers can place an order for delivery or for pickup. Pros are extra avenue for customers who can't make it to our farmers market, and we're selling at full price. The cons, it can be labor intensive picking and packing a lot of individual orders. We do a farmers market. Now, we set up our own neighborhood market, and we do it at a church parish hall parking lot. We decided not to join our Saskatoon farmers market here, but to set up our own neighborhood. And we do this on Saturday mornings, July to October. And we have fortunate to have a very prominent location on the corner of 2 busy streets in Saskatoon, A Street and Broadway Avenue. And if you have a local farmers market, it can be a great place to start because you're starting with a built-in clientele already, whereas we had to develop ours on our own. So we've tried to make our farmers market display attractive, hopefully something more than just a tablecloth on a table. And we try to keep it well organized and well laid out. And this is a pet one of mine, is to make sure prices are clearly marked. Pros is it's a niche market in our neighborhood, great direct feedback from our consumers, very visible locations, selling at full prices. The cons, because we happen to be the only vendor there, we have to carry a wide variety of produce, not just the most profitable varieties. I feel it's so important to think about how your farmer's market setup is displayed and signed. We show prices prominently and clearly and professionally, so we print all of our signs out as opposed to just my unintelligible writing scratched on a piece of paper with a felt pen. I find there's nothing worse than walking down a farmer's market aisle and you can't see the price and you have to awkwardly ask the price from the vendor. We put it out in front, be proud of what you're offering and be proud of the price you're charging. So it's kind of fun to have your own little revolution against a very broken industrial food system. The best protest sometimes is just not to participate, of which we personally try not to participate in the industrial system at all, and to give our little following of customers some help in doing the same. We are very small, however, we are doing our part to make our little corner of the world perhaps a little better. So for anyone thinking of going into organic farming, my biggest suggestion would be to understand where you can market what you grow or raise. Try to diversify your revenue streams as much as logically possible. Try to sell closest to the end eater for best profit margins, and try to pick something you personally are passionate about to grow or raise, so that you are passionate about telling the story over and over and over again and selling it. Prospecting for new customers never ends, telling your story never ends, and innovating for efficiencies never end. Do all that, and I think you'll have a load of fun while doing something super satisfying. And I'll end with a quote from Wendell Berry, who I think is one of the greatest agricultural writers of our time. He said, "We have no place to start but where we are." So I hope that there may have been a few ideas here that will inspire you to improve your marketing and to help you have more fun with your organic business. And remember to always have other topics besides soil health to chat about at parties. Thanks very much for your time.
That's awesome. That's the perfect way to wrap up your presentation. Thank you, Dennis. We got a lot of great feedback in the comments. Carla said those images are really attractive, especially them all together. And I was referring to the CSA photos. Those are very beautiful. And Deb saying she loves the story behind why you chose your name.
Thank you.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You can unmute yourself, or you can use the raise hand button, which you can use with reactions. Maybe while we wait for people to ask their questions, I have a first question for you, Dennis.
Sure.
I was just wondering, how did you build your relationship with resellers? Like, how did that start? What was the process like working with resellers?
Well, with resellers, I think there was a little bit of personal contact with them before I even did this. So I had some knowledge of who they were, or people that I knew working in that environment. So we had a bit of a leg up there, so to speak. Restaurants, it's basically the restaurants we started with were actually restaurants on Broadway where we have our market. So they kind of found us. So we had a very nice start to the relationship there. As with a lot of things, a little bit of good luck.
Awesome. And we have two questions in the chat. The first one, do you work with a marketing team or have you mostly done your own marketing? And what would you suggest newcomers do?
We do all our own marketing. There's nobody that knows what you're doing better than you. I'm very fortunate to have my wife who does a lot of the actual technical stuff for me, which is beautiful, like all of our websites and everything like that, which is nice. But we have never hired a marketing team. I tend to hire young females in the 20 to 30 age group, and they understand social media. So I try to get them to do as much of it as like during the summer, to do a lot of our posting. And I always get comments when I'm not doing it of how good it is, as opposed to when I am doing it. So, but we've never formally hired a marketing firm.
And what would you suggest newcomers do?
Just tell your story. Why are you and again, we try to tell our story in a positive light, not the industrial food system is so evil, which it is, but to tell why are you better and what's good about your stuff and why do you believe in it. And I find people respond well to that positive message of what makes your produce so good. And there's a lot of things that the industrial food system and the conventional grocery store can never compete with, and that is freshness and taste. Because when the consumer goes to a grocery store and they put their hand on that produce, it's probably 10 days old already at least. And when they put your hand on your produce, it might be a few hours old or 24 hours. So keep telling those positive stories of what makes you good.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We have another question. Do you ever feel the need to tap into new markets? And how do you approach doing that?
Well, like I say, we have 5 different revenue streams, and at certain times we might be a little more aggressive, say approaching new restaurants, or we might be more aggressive with trying to increase our CSA subscriptions. We might be more aggressive in promoting our farmers markets. It kind of depends where we feel we have the capacity to fill. We're a very small farm, so our capacity is limited. But you will never end prospecting because customers come and customers go. So.
We have a question from Gord saying, your corner on 8th and Broadway is excellent. Did you work with the city to secure that?
Gord, you're hitting my hot button because my pet peeve is the city of Saskatoon, unfortunately. So this is kind of just a local thing. The city of Saskatoon, for all their, and Gord's very familiar with all of that, for all of their saying we need food security and all that kind of stuff, they have done nothing but put roadblocks up for us. So, for example, zoning is a huge issue. You can't sell vegetables anywhere. So we happen to be at a church parish parking lot. If we were 10 feet across on the church parking lot, it wouldn't be the correct zoning. We're very fortunate that their parish hall is a different zoning and we were allowed to be there. The other thing is licensing. They won't consider us as a farmer's market because we're not a cooperative with a formal board of directors. So they classify us into transient trader, which is kind of a derogatory term in my mind. And they charge us a ridiculous fee of $500 a year for a business license to be open 4 hours a day for 14 weeks in the summer, and which is interestingly the same fee they charge to an escort agency. So I'm not sure how they're equating our farmers market to that type of unsavory business. So Gord, I can't say I haven't seen a lot of support from the city as far as how we've chosen to pursue marketing our produce. Sorry about that rant.
No. And we have a question that feeds into that. How do you start an independent farmers market? That's definitely like a different approach than what's normally done.
I think you'd have to decide, first of all, that you do want to grow a wide variety of vegetables. You have to be okay with that. The second thing is wherever you're located, you'd have to find out what the zoning issues are, just like we did, and where could be a potential location. And we were very blessed to be able to find a great location that was the correct zoning to meet the city's criteria. So that would be the other thing. Yeah, I mean, and it took us a few years to build momentum. We did do like mail drops in the neighborhood, and again, just really promoting it on social media. So it may not be the smartest way for most people to go, but that was a way we felt very comfortable with doing. If you have a local farmers market, that could be a very wise decision because you'll have a built-in clientele. But we've been very comfortable taking the risk of doing our own. And now that we are more established going into our 8th season, we do have a great following in the local neighborhood of people who just can walk there and are very loyal. And it's in the long run, it's worked out very good for us. And on the other side of the equation, we have no competition there also. So we're on our own.
Definitely. Nicole is asking, do you meet the demand? Do you feel you could grow capacity and sell more?
We always sell out, which we're very happy about. And I think a big part of that is we are certified organic. I don't know of another vendor in Saskatoon selling vegetables that's actually certified organic. I could be correct on that, but I have not found any of them. So I think that in itself makes us stand out. And because of that, and telling our story, we sell out all the time. So if we could grow more, we could sell more, definitely at this point, for sure.
Well, that's great to hear. We have another question. How many CSA boxes do you do per week?
Last year we did 60. This year we made a really tough decision. We had such a dry year, and we irrigate from a well system, and our well could not keep up. So we had to haul water in addition to our well last year. And because it was so dry, hauling water was a horrendous expense and time factor for us. So we made the very hard decision. We decided to cut down on our CSAs, and we went to half that to 30 for this year, in case we don't get enough snow and not enough moisture next year. we had to kind of pre-plan to grow less because we can't haul that much water again. We just couldn't do it again. So a normal for us was 60. This year we're doing 30.
Yeah, that's a tough call. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you want to use the raise hand function or ask your questions out loud, that's definitely welcomed as well. And we probably have time for about 2 more questions. I see Gord raised his hand. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, Dennis. Gord here.
Hey, Gord.
Hey, I just really appreciate your attention to quality, and it's obvious from how you display and how you market. I know you had a devastating hail event. Was that 2 years ago?
3, I think.
And yeah. I just wonder, like CSA, like you said a little bit about cutting back, but how did you find your people that had already paid in? What was the process there when you, I know it was difficult because you lost a lot. I'm really getting at the question of the relationship between you as a farmer and people who support our farm.
The hail year was, we had 1 CSA delivery and then we got pretty much hailed out. It was horrible. What we did is we actually refunded all of our CSA customers the balance of their fees. Obviously less the 1 week that we had, 1 or 2 weeks, I can't quite remember even now. And we just decided that was the fair thing to do. I know a lot of CSA models are like you buy in and you share the risk, but I put myself in their shoes and I don't think I would have felt like I got value or I didn't completely buy into that risk to that extent. So we refunded their entire fees back except for the week that they had the delivery of. And I felt that bought us a lot of good customer goodwill, and it was definitely worth it.
We have another question in the chat from Ken. How do you determine pricing?
Wow, that's a tough one. I ignore whatever the grocery stores sell it for because you can't compare the quality. So it's kind of a bit of trial and error of what we think we need to make on a product because of how much time and effort it takes, and what we feel is a fair price, and seeing how the customer responds to it. Now, I know that's really vague, but it's a very much touchy-feely thing. It's not, I've not been one to sit down and say, well, this cost me X amount, I have to get this X amount for it. It's a little different because I look at all our vegetables together. Some vegetables are far more profitable for us than others, but because we're doing a CSA model and a market to ourselves, we want to carry everything. So I know we grow some things that our profit margins are much lower on, but it brings the whole mix together. If I just sold potatoes and carrots and kale, my 3 top profitable, no one would come to my market or buy my CSA. So I know we have to blend it into that. But a lot of it is kind of just seeing the customer's feedback at our market. And there's this saying, and I don't know how to quantify it or if it's true or not, if 10% of the people aren't complaining about your prices are too low. So we try to gauge that and push our prices as much as we can, but we still feel we're giving fair value and we're very proud of our prices because of what we're offering for the product. And you can look in other areas besides the produce. Take bakeries. I mean, you can go buy a loaf of bread for $1.99, or you can go buy an artisan loaf for $6 or $8. But there is a difference, and people are happy to pay for that difference as long as you've told that story along with it of why it's different. I think you can still get it. But having to say this is what you should sell it for, that's a really hard thing to do, and it's a lot of trial and error and seeing how people respond to the price.
And I think we'll just do this one last question. Thank you everyone for your questions. This has been awesome. So last question is, are your resellers grocery stores or distributors?
Mostly, our main one is in Saskatoon here. We have a local grocery store called Dad's Organic Market, and they try to focus on organic. And that's been our main reseller for us, has been a retailer, direct retailer. So.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Dennis. This is wonderful. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and all those beautiful photos you had in your PowerPoint. That was very gorgeous.
My pleasure. Thanks for the time.